Welcome back to KIP TV. If you're interested in finance, economics, or even conspiracies, today's video is going to dive deep into one of the most talked about topics in the world of money, Fort Knox and its gold reserves. More specifically, what would happen to the U.S. economy and the global economy if a comprehensive audit by the Department of Government Efficiency, or in this case it could be called the Department of Gold Enforcement, D.O.G.E, reveals one of four outcomes: no gold, all the gold present and accounted for, counterfeit gold, or a deficit in the gold reserves. This is a topic that's raised some serious questions, and today we're going to break it all down. A quick overview of Fort Knox. First, let's set the stage with a bit of history. Fort Knox, officially known as the United States Bullion Depository, has been a central figure in U.S. monetary policy for nearly 90 years. Built in 1936, it has been storing the nation's gold ever since. Right now, it holds approximately 147.3 million troy ounces of gold. That's about half of the U.S. Treasury's total gold reserves. The gold is kept in the form of bars weighing about 400 ounces each, and it's 99.5% pure. With gold valued at just under $2,953 per troy ounce, the gold stored in Fort Knox could be worth up to $434.3 billion. But despite its high value and security, Fort Knox has remained the subject of debate, particularly when it comes to trust in the numbers. Some critics have questioned whether the gold is actually there in the amounts reported, especially given that it's been over 50 years since there's been a full audit. The history of Fort Knox and the U.S. gold standard. To really understand the significance of Fort Knox today, we need to look back to a major turning point in U.S. economic history. August 15, 1971, when President Richard Nixon announced that the U.S. was officially abandoning the gold standard. At the time, the U.S. was facing a combination of economic issues, including high inflation and a growing trade deficit. Nixon's announcement was framed as a temporary measure, designed to stabilize the U.S. economy by controlling inflation and preventing foreign governments from exchanging their U.S. dollar reserves for gold. He famously said, "We are all Keynesian now," signaling a shift toward more government control over monetary policy. However, what was initially intended to be a short-term fix turned out to be anything but. In fact, the U.S. has never returned to the gold standard. By taking the U.S. off the gold standard, Nixon made the U.S. dollar the world's reserve currency, backed not by gold, but by the trust in the U.S. government and its economy. This has led to a situation where global trade and many international reserves are held in dollars, despite the U.S. no longer having enough gold to back all the dollars in circulation. Fort Knox, however, has remained a symbol of the gold standard, even though it's no longer directly tied to the value of the dollar. Scenario 1. What would happen if the D.O.G.E audit finds no gold? Now let's jump to the heart of the issue. What happens if the D.O.G.E audit reveals that there's no gold in Fort Knox? If the audit uncovers that all the gold has mysteriously disappeared, this would have catastrophic consequences for both the U.S. and global economies. Domestically, the credibility of the U.S. government would be severely shaken. Even though the U.S. dollar isn't technically backed by gold anymore, approximately 54% of all foreign trade is conducted in dollars. So, for the foreseeable future, the U.S. dollar remains the world's reserve currency. The disappearance of the gold lead many to ask, if the U.S. can't even account for its gold, what else is being mismanaged? Globally, this could trigger a massive currency crisis, where nations would be forced to rethink their reliance on the U.S. dollar. Countries with large dollar reserves, like China and Russia, might start selling off U.S. debt and move into other assets like gold, cryptocurrencies, or other commodities. This shift could decrease the value of the U.S. dollar and spark inflation, creating instability across global markets. Scenario 2. All gold present and accounted for. On the flip side, let's say the audit shows that all the gold is present and accounted for. This would likely have a positive impact on the U.S. economy and would reaffirm the U.S.'s commitment to financial stability. Domestically, this would boost confidence in the U.S. government and its transparency. Investors would likely see this as a sign of fiscal strength, and we could see a positive reaction in the stock markets and the value of the dollar. Globally, this would reassure international markets that the US dollar remains the world's reserve currency, backed by a solid gold foundation, even if it's no longer directly tied to the dollar. This could help stabilize global financial markets and prevent a rush to de-dollarize. Scenario 3. Counterfeit gold. Now imagine a scenario where the audit uncovers counterfeit gold. This would mean that some of the gold in Fort Knox isn't genuine or has been replaced with gold-plated tungsten, a material that looks like gold but has a very different value. Domestically, the discovery of counterfeit gold would have devastating consequences. It would cause massive distrust in the U.S. financial system, and the government would likely face intense political pressure. Investors would flee U.S. assets, potentially triggering a market crash and a plummeting dollar. Globally, this could accelerate de-dollarization. Countries would no longer feel comfortable holding U.S. reserves, and we could see a significant shift away from the dollar towards safer, more tangible assets, like gold or even cryptocurrencies. Scenario 4. Less gold than reported. Finally, what if the audit reveals there is less gold than reported? This could point to theft, mismanagement, or deliberate deception over the years. Domestically, this would raise serious questions about U.S. financial practices. It would lead to calls for accountability and possibly even reforms to the way the government handles its finances. A reduction in the reported reserves could result in inflation and market instability. So, whether the D.O.G.E. audit finds no gold, all the gold accounted for, counterfeit gold, or less gold than expected, the consequences could be profound. Fort Knox and the gold it holds have long been symbols of financial strength and transparency, but any discrepancies would shake the global financial system. If you found this video informative, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into financial topics. Let me know in the comments. What do you think would happen if an audit of Fort Knox found something surprising? Would the world economy crumble, or would it bounce back? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And as always, thanks for watching.